keeps on saying Kellen Moore is getting a job as well. Do you laugh at that? We know Dan Quinn, but Romo always is praising Kellen as well.
No, I've said before, I think I've told you guys before, I think that Kellen Moore gets way too much hate. I think he's a better than league average coordinator. And I know he has his faults. I don't think he's perfect by any means. But in terms of...
Did you watch the Kurt Warner breakdown of them against the Packers? Was that more about Dak? I didn't get through the whole thing. I saw early on Dak not throwing it comfortably, but he's called out Kellen's schemes before.
Sure. A lot of it, I think a lot more of it was about, for Kurt, there were times where he didn't like play design or he thought, this doesn't make a lot of sense. So he called out some play design, but a lot of it to him was what we had all been talking about the following Monday, like communication and their chemistry, and they had a lot of issues there. And so that was more what he was targeting. But on Kellen Moore specifically, if you're telling me I can take Kellen Moore or just random spin the wheel and count on them hiring a better guy at offensive coordinator, I think I feel better about Kellen than whoever they would interview and hire.
Kellen has a good game plan a lot of times. He looks better when his quarterback plays to his potential. When Dak has a bad game, Kellen looks bad. All coordinators look bad when their quarterback has a bad game. Basically, all coordinators look good when their quarterback's on. When their quarterback's got 22% completion percentage over expectation, he's going to look amazing. When your quarterback is 20 for 20 on non-pressured throws like Dak was, he's going to look amazing. When your quarterback is 3 for 3 downfield, 20 yards or more, your coordinator is going to look amazing.
Tolos do want to give Kellen Moore credit. Look, I don't like just saying, they scored 40, Kellen Moore, great job. What I notice, and I'm just giving the casual fan observations, and then Broadus, breaks down the tape with you guys and the Love of the Star podcast with, I can't speak the route combinations and depth and X's and O's and all that stuff. It seemed like, as Brad Sham said and Broadus in the post, they finally figured out the Zeke Pollard balance. All right. They figured it out. How often to give it to Tony. We can throw it to him as well. I'd like to see their stats on motion this year. It felt like there was a lot of motion yesterday in terms of making you hesitate with CeeDee Lamb moving, right? These wide receiver screens. It felt like everyone was touched. I judge it off of how many people are touching the football, what different creative ways are you doing, how much motion are you running, are the right targets, are your best players getting the right amount of targets? That's how I judge it. I can't speak to route combinations and scheming guys open like Broadus can. You notice any of that stuff jump out to you yesterday?
Yeah, there's a little bit of it. They got an illegal motion penalty on
Dak
one of them.
running too. Dak starting to use his legs a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's just got to be about his confidence. That's got to be where he's at, his trust in his own body and his trust in his own durability. And I think that's what you're seeing. He's removed from it now. He's feeling more comfortable. But you're seeing him willing to not just run again. You're seeing him run physically again. Like he was taking on Vikings defenders in the open field yesterday. He was taking on, tough physical runs against Green Bay the week before. I think that he's more comfortable doing it again. He's found that comfort again. And something we talked about back in training camp, that it looked like he was closer to himself mobility-wise than he was the year before. But
Kellen is a head coach. Minnesota interviewed both he and Dan Quinn.
Look, there's a offensive guys are always going to get fast track, and you're always going to have
for sure.
You're always going to have an advantage over defensive coaches, and when you're a young offensive mind who's put up what he has over the last several years with Dak Prescott in there, which is number one offense the last 3 years whenever Dak plays, then that's going to get some people interested. So I actually wouldn't be stunned if Kellen were to get a job before Quinn, even though I think Quinn's a better coach.
I think he's a better coach too, and I think Kellen absolutely should get a job before Quinn, because offense is the sustainable side of the football that you can plan on and you can bank for. And that's why I love that offensive coaches get fast track. It's the easier way to win, which is find a quarterback and win that way, than it is to build a great defense, because you're relying on too many other factors. And if you want to, and now look, if you have a great defensive coach and your quarterback's elite, like if you give an elite defensive mind Patrick Mahomes, or whatever, look what Josh Allen's able to do with a defensive coach, then I think it's easier. But in order to get that guy, and help develop and groom that guy, go with the offensive side.
I got to give Romo props for his early Cooper Rush opinion. He did say he really liked Rush. That was before Rush went on his run. Here's Tony saying this about Rush's offseason future.
Well, I talked to you that week going into, because we had his
Week 2 game against Cincy.
first start and this year. And I was really impressed when I put the tape on from the Minnesota game last year.
You said he's going to play well.
I said they're going to be okay. And I said, I think he actually, I didn't think they were going to have this huge fall off a cliff thing that happened before, when Dak got hurt. And Cooper's just better than people realize. He gets the ball out quickly. He looks people off. He knows the offense at a very high level. He gets to the right play. He makes these checks, that are hard to get to sometimes. And he does it, just natural and, in phase. And it makes everything kind of flow. And the game gets simple. And it helped the team. They started running the ball. And things just kind of started to be boom. And now today looked like one of those games, right? But Dak was out there. And obviously we know Dak's talent level and everything. And I think Cooper is going to get a big contract after this year. And we'll see. Does some team believe he is starting quarterback worthy? I do.
Well,
I absolutely think
he's going to get a big contract to be a starter somewhere, or a big contract to stay here in Dallas as a backup. There's a difference.
One or the other. But the difference is up to him, right?
Yep.
And then what are the opportunities and where are you going? And he's already proven, though. I mean, you don't fake your way into doing what he did. He was extremely efficient, accurate. He threw under duress. That was the biggest thing. Way better than 90% of the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Wow.
It's a lot of praise.
What happens first? Kellen Moore becomes a head coach, or Cooper Rush gets paid to be a starting quarterback?
Oh, I think Kellen becomes a head coach just because the timelines of
Rush's deal's up, right?
Yeah, but free agency would open in March, and then in theory, Kellen would get hired in January if he got a job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for being technical with the timeline.
We are.
Good job by you.
We are technical people.
Very detail oriented.
Very technical.
Which one's more likely to happen?
I think Kellen Moore is more likely to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Romo's going to be proven wrong with that take.
Oh yeah, I think so. Can Cooper Rush function in a Jimmy G style operation with an excellent head coach and a bunch of different weapons? Sure, yeah. Probably. He can get you by. He did here. But yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that can carry a team or can really lead a franchise.
But I mean, Carolina needs a quarterback.
I'm not paying Cooper Rush.
No. I know New Orleans needs one. Atlanta might need. Well, maybe we don't know about Ritter. I mean, you go down the list. There's a dozen teams or half a dozen teams anyway that could say, we could look for an upgrade. Is Cooper Rush an upgrade?
Maybe he gets signed to a Trubisky type deal in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I mean, someone would be insane to pay Cooper Rush.
I mean, you're not paying him $40 million, but I mean, maybe you pay him what?
Yeah, give me a number.
Give him the Chase Daniel career. Or Chase
somewhere
Daniels
between Andy Dalton money. What's Andy? Andy Dalton making your 15s.
I think. Is he that much?
Well, no, but with incentives, right? If he gets,
I'm talking about the start.
Starts.
Someone to pay him to start. Ooh, I would not want to be that fan base. No offense, but I mean, there's no way not to take offense if you're Cooper Rush with this discussion. But Romo loves him, and he was right before the run.